MTS here. Take a moment and think about, well, thinking. Right now, inside your skull, there's a 3-pound lump of squishy, fatty tissue that at this very second is processing these words and forming thoughts. Maybe it's even wondering what it itself is. This organ, the brain, is you, the director of the movie of your life, the architect of your reality, the librarian of your memories, the source of your deepest feelings. It's a universe within a universe, a cosmos of electrical storms and chemical tides. But what is this thing? How does it work? Imagine a single light bulb, a dim 20-watt incandescent bulb, glowing softly in a dark room. Now imagine that light bulb is your brain. That little light bulb's worth of energy accounts for a staggering 20% of all the power your body uses while at rest. It's a tiny fraction of you, physically speaking, yet an insatiable energy glutton. Your brain never truly sleeps. Even when you are deep in slumber, it is working, sorting memories, cleaning house, and dreaming. Every single second, billions of specialized cells called neurons are chattering away, firing electrical signals to one another in a symphony of unimaginable complexity. This constant communication requires an enormous amount of fuel. Think of it like a bustling metropolis that never closes. In fact, your brain claims about 25% of the body's total glucose and 20% of its oxygen intake. This incredible energy demand has profound evolutionary implications. For our ancestors, finding enough calories to fuel such a powerful organ was a major driver of behavior. So the next time you feel mentally exhausted after a long day of thinking, learning, or even just worrying, you're not imagining it. You have genuinely been burning a significant amount of your body's fuel. Your brain's voracious appetite is the price of consciousness, the energy bill for the privilege of experiencing the world. It's a constant humming reminder that the most powerful thing you own is also the most demanding. If we were to zoom in past the folds and lobes into the very fabric of the brain, what would we see? We'd enter a world of such staggering scale that our minds can barely grasp it. We would find the neurons. But how many? For a long time, the common estimate was 100 billion. It's a nice round number, but science is messy, and a more rigorous count in 2009 gave us a new, more precise figure, roughly 86 billion neurons. That's more than 10 times the number of people on Earth, all packed inside your head. But the number of neurons, as immense as it is, isn't even the most astounding part of the story. The real magic, the source of the brain's power, lies in the connections between these neurons. Each neuron can form connections with thousands of other neurons. These connection points are called synapses, tiny gaps across which chemical messengers, or neurotransmitters, leap to transmit a signal. They are the intersections and interchanges of the brain's vast highway system. How many of these connections are there? The numbers become astronomical. A typical adult brain is estimated to have somewhere between 100 trillion synapses and 500 trillion synapses. Let's try to put that into perspective. The Milky Way galaxy, our cosmic home, contains an estimated 100 billion to 400 billion stars. This means you could have more synapses in your brain than there are stars in our entire galaxy. It is a network of connections so dense and intricate that it dwarfs any man-made system. This web of trillions of connections is not static. It is a dynamic, living, ever-changing tapestry. Every thought you have, every memory you form, every skill you learn involves the strengthening of connections, weakening of connections, or creation of new connections. Learning to play the guitar isn't an abstract event. It is the physical rewiring of this galactic network, forging new pathways through the stellar sea of your mind. So, when we talk about the brain, we aren't just talking about a collection of 86 billion individual cells. We are talking about the near infinite possibilities that arise from their interconnectedness. The sheer combinatorial power of this network is what allows for human thought, creativity, language, consciousness. You are not just a brain, you are a universe of connections, a living galaxy of thought. For a long time, we believed the adult brain was a fixed, static entity. The prevailing wisdom was that once you reached adulthood, the brain's structure was set in stone. Any damage was permanent, any limitations were final. This idea, however, has been completely overturned by one of the most revolutionary discoveries in modern neuroscience: neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. It's actively, dynamically rewiring itself in response to experience. Your brain is not a finished sculpture. It is a living, breathing landscape that is constantly being reshaped by your actions, thoughts, circumstances. Every time you learn a new fact, master a new skill, have a novel thought, Consider the brains of London taxi drivers. Before the age of GPS, they had to memorize the knowledge, a labyrinthine map of 25,000 streets and thousands of landmarks. Studies showed these drivers had a significantly larger hippocampus. Their brains had physically grown and adapted to meet the intense demands placed upon them. This ability to rewire is a source of hope after injury. When one part of the brain is damaged by a stroke or trauma, neuroplasticity allows other healthy areas to sometimes take over the functions of the damaged region. A patient might painstakingly relearn how to speak or relearn how to walk. The brain finds a workaround, a detour on its intricate roadmap to restore function. It's a testament to the brain's inherent resilience and adaptability. But neuroplasticity is a double-edged sword. Just as it allows us to learn and recover, it can also wire in negative patterns. Chronic pain, anxiety, depression. The brain learns to be in pain or to be anxious. The hopeful flip side, these patterns aren't necessarily permanent. Through therapies, mindfulness, and conscious effort, we can unwire negative loops and forge healthier, more positive pathways. Your brain is constantly learning, and you have a say in what you teach it. Where is your memory of your first day of school? Memory is not a thing stored in a place. Your brain is actively reassembling that experience from scratch, firing a specific pattern of synapses that was created when the memory was first formed. It's like recreating a song by having each member of a massive orchestra play their specific part in perfect harmony. Your memory isn't a video camera, it's a storyteller, and every retelling is a new performance. Imagine a rose bush in early spring. It's a tangled mess of stems and branches growing in every direction. To get the most beautiful and vibrant blooms, a gardener doesn't just add more branches. They carefully prune away the weak, unnecessary, and overgrown ones. This allows the plant to direct its energy and resources to the strongest stems, resulting in a healthier, more efficient bush. Your brain, especially during childhood and adolescence, does something remarkably similar. This process is called synaptic pruning. When you are born, your brain goes on a connection-making frenzy. A toddler's brain has trillions more synaptic connections than an adult's brain. It's an explosion of potential, a dense jungle of neural pathways where everything is connected to everything else. This overabundance of connections is what allows young children to learn at such an astonishing rate, soaking up language and information like a sponge. But this hyper-connected state is not efficient. It's noisy, chaotic, and energetically expensive. Starting in early childhood and continuing aggressively through adolescence, the brain begins a massive editing process. Guided by experience, by what is used and what is not, it starts to systematically eliminate weaker and less used synaptic connections. The neural pathways that are frequently activated are strengthened, while those that lie dormant are pruned away. It carves out the streamlined superhighways of thought from the tangled mess of country lanes. The process of synaptic pruning during adolescence is particularly dramatic and helps explain a lot about the teenage experience. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and planning, is one of the last areas to be fully pruned and myelinated. It's not just hormones, it's the brain actively sculpting its adult form. We've talked about the brain as a chemical machine, a network of cells passing neurotransmitters back and forth. But that's only half the story. At its most fundamental level, the brain is an electrical device. Every time a neuron fires, it generates a tiny electrical pulse, an action potential. With 86 billion neurons firing in complex, synchronized patterns, the cumulative effect is a continuous, measurable electrical field. Your head is literally buzzing with electricity. This electrical activity is not random noise. It organizes itself into rhythmic waves, much like the rhythm of a song. When you are awake and alert, your brain produces fast, high-frequency beta waves. When you relax and close your eyes, they slow down into calmer alpha waves. In deep sleep, you exhibit slow, powerful delta waves. These rhythms are the electrical symphony of your mind. But here's where it gets even stranger. Every electrical current generates a magnetic field. The electricity in your brain generates an equally minuscule magnetic field that radiates out from your head. You've heard it 1,000 times. Are you a left-brain person? Logical, analytical, mathematical, detail-oriented? This idea is one of the most pervasive and persistent myths in popular psychology. The reality is infinitely more complex and interesting. Healthy, intact brains are not at war with themselves. The two hemispheres work together as a unified, integrated system. You use both hemispheres of your brain all the time for almost everything you do. The two sides are partners, not rivals. You don't have half a brain, you have a whole, beautifully integrated one. What is sleep? For much of human history, it was seen as a passive state, a simple period of inactivity, a time when the body and mind just shut off. We now know that this could not be further from the truth. Sleep is an active, highly organized, and absolutely vital biological process. While you are unconscious, your brain is working overtime, performing critical maintenance tasks. One of its most important jobs is consolidating memories. During the day, as you learn and experience new things, your brain creates temporary memory traces, primarily in the hippocampus. During certain stages of sleep, particularly slow-wave sleep, the brain replays these neural patterns. It's like a student reviewing their notes. This replay process strengthens the synaptic connections associated with the memory and gradually transfers it from the temporary storage of the hippocampus to more permanent storage in the cortex. Sleep is the save button for your memories. Think about the cells in your body. As they use energy, they produce metabolic waste products. The lymphatic system acts as the body's garbage disposal service, clearing away this waste. The answer, discovered only in the last decade, is a remarkable process called the glymphatic system. When you fall asleep, something amazing happens. Your brain cells actually shrink by up to 60%, widening the space between them. This allows cerebrospinal fluid to be pumped through the brain, flushing out the toxic metabolic byproducts that have accumulated during your waking hours. It's literally a brainwashing. One of the key waste products cleared by this system is beta amyloid, a protein that, when it accumulates, forms the sticky plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease. So, sleep is not a luxury or a sign of laziness. It is an essential act of self-preservation for your brain. We tend to think of the brain as the body's undisputed commander, a lone dictator issuing orders from its ivory tower in the skull. But well, what if I told you there's another powerful center of influence? A second brain that profoundly affects your mood, your thoughts, and your behavior. This second brain isn't in your head, it's in your gut. This intricate communication network is known as the gut-brain axis. Your gastrointestinal tract is lined with more than 100 million nerve cells. That's more neurons than are in your spinal cord or your entire peripheral nervous system. This complex neural network within your gut is called the enteric nervous system. It's so sophisticated that it can operate independently, managing digestion and gut function without any input from the brain in your head. It's a brain in its own right, but it doesn't just work independently. The gut and the brain are in constant, deep conversation. They communicate through a variety of channels: the vagus nerve, which acts like a massive fiber optic cable running between them, the immune system, hormones, neurotransmitters. In fact, a huge proportion of your body's serotonin, a key neurotransmitter associated with mood and happiness, is produced in the gut, not the brain. The most fascinating part of this conversation involves the trillions of tiny passengers living inside your gut microbiome. These microbes can produce their own neuroactive compounds that can travel to the brain and influence its function. They can essentially talk to your brain, affecting anxiety and stress levels, memory, social behavior. Studies in animals have shown that changing the composition of the gut microbiome can dramatically alter behavior. This reframes our understanding of mood disorders like depression and anxiety, a whole body problem, not just the brain. Your gut isn't just a food processor, it's a co-pilot for your mind. Where does fear live? Where do you feel joy or disgust? For a long time, we tried to pinpoint emotions to single, specific spots in the brain. The most famous example is the amygdala, a small, almond-shaped structure, which became known as the fear center. Modern brain imaging shows emotions aren't in one spot. They emerge from dynamic interplay across distributed networks. Feeling an emotion is a brain-wide event. The amygdala talks with other key regions: amygdala, prefrontal cortex, insula. So fear isn't produced by the amygdala alone. It's a network-level conversation between amygdala, prefrontal cortex, insula. The same is true for all our emotions: joy, sadness, anger, disgust. These aren't buttons. They're complex symphonies played by vast neural networks, creating the rich and nuanced tapestry of our emotional lives. It is one of life's greatest and most profound ironies. The brain, the very organ that creates, processes, and interprets every sensation you will ever experience. The warmth of the sun, the sting of a paper cut, the agony of a broken bone cannot itself feel pain. Your brain is the source of all your pain, but it is completely numb to its own. It is an unfeeling God presiding over a world of sensation. The answer is simple and anatomical. The brain tissue itself completely lacks nociceptors. Nociceptors are the specialized sensory neurons, the pain receptors. When triggered, they send urgent electrical signals up the spinal cord to the brain. The brain receives these signals and gets to work. It interprets the location, intensity, and type of signal. It cross-references that information with your memories and emotions. It then generates the subjective experience we call pain. Pain is not in your finger when you touch a hot stove. The sensation is constructed entirely within your brain. This is why neurosurgeons can perform awake craniotomies. The surgeon can cut, probe, and even electrically stimulate the brain tissue without causing pain. So there you have it. A journey through the electric, plastic, and profoundly paradoxical world inside your own head. From a power-hungry metropolis that runs on the energy of a dim light bulb, to a galactic network of connections that outnumbers the stars, to a nightly housekeeper that washes itself clean while you dream. The brain is not just an organ, it is a dynamic process, a constant becoming. It builds itself, prunes itself, rewires itself, and tells itself stories about a body that may or may not be there, all while feeling nothing itself. These facts aren't just strange trivia. They are windows into the very nature of who we are. They challenge our intuitions about memory, emotion, and even the self. The realization that our sense of reality is a carefully constructed model, that our emotions are network-wide events, and that our mind is deeply connected to the microbes in our gut, changes everything. It invites us to be more curious, more compassionate, and more in awe of the 3-pound universe we each carry with us. The greatest mystery is not what lies in the distant cosmos, but what lies between our ears. We have only just begun to map its shores, and the more we learn, the more we realize how much we don't know. The brain is the ultimate frontier, and the best part is, you have a front row seat to its wonders. All you have to do is think about it. And, as always, thanks for watching.